Hey there, welcome back. This was loading up really quick, but then okay, I was gonna say, oh no. Alright, so here we go. Now, there is allegedly another DLC coming out with this. As you can see, there's a Season Pass 2. Um, but I do have everything else. Some of this stuff is a little silly, but anyways, I'm just... For a game with a bizarre lore that I don't particularly care for, I'm really I really think it's actually these developers, these Owlcat games. I'm starting to really like their games. They remind me of like BioWare and you know the good days of BioWare and Interplay. This reminds me of like a Fallout game in some ways. It's a really I don't want to say it's a cool universe because like I said, I there's some aspects of this that's bizarre, but it it is definitely bizarre. All right, so here we are. We finished the prologue. We got out of warp by the skin of her chinny chin chin. I have some weird demonic spirit thing talking to me in my head. And let's go rule. So here, it says Pale Woman. I only bring this up several times because there's something later in the game where you have to find a woman. And I'm like, I've talked to everybody. And it's this person. Anyways. Okay, so we used our fellowship to talk to the crew. And, just pause if I'm going too fast. A lot of this is just flavor. Getting to know the Vox Master. She's in charge of communications on the ship. She will inform me if there's any rumors, things like that. And right now I'm just asking her a lot of questions of what it's like to be a Voidborn. So she and Adira seem to get along pretty well. So she's devastated by her rift, and you're getting little bits of experience points every now and then. I don't remember this the last time. I think I may have picked up something new this time around. Just flavor about being Voidborn. I never asked them to remind me who they are. I mean, they're standing right in front of me, eh? But anyways, that's all for now. We will come back from time to time and have to talk with her for various reasons. Then coming down here, we have the helmsman. Remember, this used to be voice acted. It's not anymore. He dislikes everybody on this ship. Oh my goodness. Do you like anyone at all? He cracks me up. He hates everybody. What do you mean? I like you. What an answer. Okay, so this is Argenta. She wanted to talk to us.
Rogue trader.
Still got some voice acting going on here.
About me. I am the Emperor's daughter and his servant. What else is there to tell about me? Gladly, there are none more faithful to the God Emperor than my sisters. We fight against his enemies by the will of the Holy Ecclesiarchy. I beg your pardon, Rogue Trader. Here I am talking about what every lesser noble in the Imperium knows. So what exactly are you interested in hearing about?
This is like, so way back in the 80s, HBO had this show called Not Necessarily the News. And they had this segment called Sniglets, where the guy would take two well-known English words and merge them together to make a new word. And words like ecclesiarchy is one of those sniglets. I know that's, I'm reaching really deep, and probably only like 2 of you out there know what I'm talking about. But anyways, that's a sniglet right there.
None that I'm aware of, but the Sisterhood's orders are many, and can operate independently of one another, sending their sisters wherever their presence is needed as deemed by the Ecclesiarchy. Perhaps somewhere in the Lord Inquisitor's retinue, may his path be blessed, my sisters perform their duty as we speak. I wish it were so. Even a single evening spent in joint prayer and training would bring me joy. Once I had completed my novitiate, I was sent to the Calixian branch of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, assigned to the Order's Pronatus. The Order's mission is vital and noble. The Sisters Pronatus protect great relics of the Imperium. We guard them, preserve them, escort them when they are brought onto the battlefield or presented for pilgrims to venerate.
I don't know who the voice actress is for this, but first of all, she totally nails the dogmatic nature of this type of character. And just the fact that she's pronouncing some of these words, like I would have called that pronatus instead of what it really was. And she knew that was novitiate. She does a great job.
And we seek out the relics that have been lost. Neither a coven of heretics nor the most wicked death world can deter Sisters Pronatus when their goal is to return a piece of the great legacy of the Imperium into the hands of the faithful. Don't let the name deceive you. The Order's militant trains sisters to march onto the battlefield as an army. That does not make sisters who belong to the non-militant orders timid and helpless. Both the solace-bringing Sisters Hospitaller and the enlightened Sisters Dialogus know how to greet enemies of humanity. Their dialogue with heretics is usually quite short, with the last word being a bolter discharge. And my order has all the more reason to be known for the martial prowess of its sisters. We are the keepers of the Imperium's relics. What would become of our blessed hero's legacy if the Sisters Pronatus could not protect it? The Order sent me to Footfall. My undertaking was to assist the local priesthood of Drusians in caring for a sacred reliquary that had been there since the time of Parson Mr. Wayne, the station's founder. It is. The Sisters of Battle are a fire lit by the God Emperor. They are the echo of his voice that travels through the dark expanses of the universe. We bring his wrath to heretics, mutants, and other enemies of humanity. We protect the faithful from the unholy and unhallowed, sometimes with words, more often than not, with a bolter. Even the novices of the Adeptus Sororitas are drawn from among the most worthy. Those who have taken the vows and become a full-fledged sister are the best of the best, tested by trials of body and spirit. Yes, there have been cases when a sister stumbled or showed weakness, but do not expect to hear a story of depravity or downfall from me. Each such occurrence is a great tragedy for us all. Light cannot bear the smallest speck of darkness within. And thus those who have trespassed or shown weakness of spirit are given a chance at redemption. They are called Sisters Repentia, and may the enemy tremble before her, for nothing can stop a sister of battle who yearns to be cleansed of fault and weakness. Wearing nothing but robes, no armor, eviscerator in hand, those sisters who have once faltered find repentance on the battlefield. Their lives are seldom long, but a death in the name of purgation is a better fate than to live with a shadow in one's soul. Should any more arise, keeping them to yourself would be imprudent. It is a virtue to take an interest in holiness. I first came here when I found myself in need of passage from Footfall to a remote planet. But I imagine what interests you is not that first journey, but rather what brought me aboard prior to the cultist attack. That story is complicated. It just so happened that I made a mistake. In a moment of laxity, I was ambushed by the accursed followers of the archenemy. I was badly wounded. Lady Theodora came to my aid and brought me aboard her ship, where crew attended to me in my weakened state. It all happened not too long ago. I had barely recovered from my wounds when the cultists struck. Truly, the servants of evil know no rest. There is no place where we can be safe from their machinations. Sadly, they did not. Lady Theodora was in a hurry and chose not to stay on the planet. Her people took me to a ship while I was unconscious, and when I came to my senses, we were already flying away. How I pray to come face to face with those heretics once more. And it's bound to happen someday. On one of the recently discovered planets in the Expanse. No one suspected that it had already been tainted by the filth of heresy. Had I known it beforehand, of course I would have been on my guard. The path to that planet was lost. All the knowledge is gone, along with the previous navigator. It would take immense effort and resources to rediscover the route. The heir to the von Valancius Protectorate must have plenty of other issues to deal with right now. Perhaps later, when the skies above our heads have cleared. I hadn't been here that long. Just one journey from Footfall, and the other journey, the majority of which I spent in the confines of the Medbay. I can't tell you much about the first voyage. I was more focused on prayers and ruminations than on the people around me, or the journey itself. During the last journey, Seneschal Viserion stood out for me. He came by several times to ask about my health. He's an honorable man and a loyal servant of the Imperium. I think he is as meticulous in his inspections of the logistics systems as he is in his inquiries about the health of the occasional sister of battle aboard the ship. But not all of Theodora's people have earned my trust. You know who I'm talking about. There is no place for Adira Tlas among the God Emperor's faithful. I'm surprised she wasn't in league with the cultists. And I'm equally surprised by how deep heresy and treason run in this place. I'm glad we all made it through that dark hour. May the day that follows be bright.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't like her.
It happens even to the best of us. My mistakes are my burden to bear. I'll find a way to atone for them. As you wish. The ship was targeted by heretics, which means that my presence here and the assistance I provide to you are my sacred duty. Sooner or later, I will likely have to return to Footfall to protect its reliquary. But for now, I wish to remain a part of the Rogue Trader's crew. Those are very courteous words, Rogue Trader. Thank you, both for your words and your hospitality.
She's thinking misogynist.
I indeed have a request, Rogue Trader. The accursed servants of Chaos who assaulted this ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their posts until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in Von Valancia's territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the Rogue Trader could meet with the orphans? I will pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart.
Package treats. So I don't know if there's a right or a wrong way to handle the situation. I did choose something different this time around. I mean, I never took the option to punish the boys. I mean, they just lost their parents. I mean, and they're just kids. I don't know. I mean, it's like, why should I get so angry because one of them decided he felt like he needed to speak up?
Greetings.
But that's it. I don't know if we got brownie points with her or what. Sorry if I went through that quick. Just always remember to pause. This game has hours and hours of text like that, and it was all just fluff about his wife dying and things of that nature. And we got
Captain.
a lot more people to go through still.
As you wish, Lord Captain.
I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperialis.
No. A used to be is not quite right.
It was not simply a job. It was my calling, the essence of my life. I was proud to serve Lord Captain Theodora, but in my heart and mind, I'm still an officer of the Imperium.
I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcement to the rogue traders' army on one of the frontier worlds. Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise then that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy and join the rogue traders' personal council. It was a difficult choice for me. But I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You do not need me to tell you just how remarkable a person Lord Captain Theodora was. I recognized her at once as a true leader and formidable creative force. One who had built a protectorate amidst the dangers and wildness of the Expanse. I am a widower. I am a father of 4, and if my information is not outdated, a grandfather of 11. My family lives on Dargonus. None of my children express any eagerness or aptitude for serving aboard ship, and I would hardly have insisted that they follow in my footsteps. You could say there was no one among the Naval Command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader. To do so would be to risk their own position and their relationship with Theodora. Well, the Lord Captain possessed certain contacts in the Imperial Navy. Contacts which she used to request help during the conflict on the border world. And which enabled her to make me an offer that resulted in my joining her retinue. The Navis Imperialis is an ancient institution with its own mandates and muster lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing, or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point. It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound overly scathing or confrontational. Many in command were inclined to view my manner of speaking as unbefitting a person of my rank. Of course. I thank you for the honor, but I must decline. As a former military officer, I believe in the importance of order in all things, including the chain of command. You are the Lord Captain, my direct superior. I am not prepared to address you in any way other than as regulation dictates. A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am...
This is a topic for an official briefing, not a casual conversation. But I will try to answer succinctly. And if you permit, in my own words... The Coronis Expanse is considerably removed from the heart of the Imperium. This means that local warp routes become useless within months. Established pathways are regularly subject to attacks from all kinds of rabble. And in the only major port, the Imperium's frigates find themselves moored alongside pirate vessels. Until recently, the Coronis Expanse could hardly have been called a region of the Imperium. The situation has changed with the arrival of the Lord Inquisitor, but not by much. This place operates under its own rules, you see. More radical, so to speak. But ones that allow for a non-standard approach where there is a promise of victory. The Coronis Expanse is considered rogue trader territory for a reason. Only rogue traders have sufficient military might, audacity, and the rights granted them by the warrant to survive the leap into the unexplored part of the Expanse, and in the event of a successful outcome, to hold on to whatever they manage to capture on the frontier.
In the first instance, you should treat official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne. The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Coronis Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region, to the regret of some individuals who had grown inured to the local lawlessness. Rogue traders such as yourself are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers. They wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute respect in other parts of the Expanse. The most powerful of them are Kalagos Winterscale and Incendia Bastal Chorda. Tread carefully when dealing with either of them. If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is, among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are 3 factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the Kazbalaka Mission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Liege of Footfall, and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining ecclesiarchy, followers of St. Drusus. They are actively building their forces, and hold influence over rogue trader Chorda. And finally, the third faction, the Explorators, a wing of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are willing to die and kill for the secrets of the ancient technological heresies that are hidden among the stars of the Coronis Expanse. You know, Lord Captain, I am no admirer of fine art. But when we next find ourselves in a civilized port, with time to spare, I will promptly find an artist and commission a portrait of the individual to whom you refer, with a hole between the eyes. Conrad Voigtveer. That he committed his treachery and escaped with his life was an unforgivable oversight. We both served Lord Captain Theodora for many years, and we never saw eye to eye. He was brash. He was never afraid of assuming responsibility, and he willingly took on difficult tasks. I am loath to admit it, but the Von Valancius Protectorate continues to reap the fruits of his labors to this day. His service always garnered my respect. But everything else about him made me want to wring the neck of that two-faced snake. If you are taking comfort in the thought that we will hear no more of Conrad, prepare to be disappointed. You thwarted his plans, his meticulously plotted and nurtured treachery. He is sure to attempt to strike at you, and he will use his contacts and knowledge of the Protectorate to do so. The only question, Lord Captain, is whether you will be able to anticipate his next steps. As you wish, Lord Captain.
So the only thing that bothers me about this storyline is, how does somebody escape a ship? I understand this ship is large, and when you go to some of these areas as we start to explore the ship, I mean, it's almost like a giant city. So, you know, how does somebody hide within a city? I mean, all of that is true. I mean, there's even a freaking train on this ship. that goes back and forth. So I get it. I mean, you can easily hide on a ship, I guess. It just I don't know. So then, what? As soon as we get to a port, then they sneak away. I don't know. It's just the whole thing is a little sus. So no voice acting on this one. She is our Master at Arms, and if you recall, she was the one that was leaning over the Master of Arms who was dying. Okay, so obviously the last Master at Arms died. She manages through suppression and fear. I have to trust that that's the right way to do things. So we spoke with, that's the Fire Marshal dude. That's the Master Helmsman. We spoke to Argenta. That was the Vox Master. Abelard. This we'll get to in a second. I just spoke to Jocasta. We're gonna speak to High Factotum, and then I gotta get to Adira. So we're almost done with the Wall of Text World Tour. So this guy is the well, he tells you he's, what is it you do on my ship? So he's like a logistics guy. He makes sure he's a buyer and a seller. Pretty cool. Now, this guy also serves as like an inn. So in an RPG sense, normally you go to the inn to recruit new people for your party. That's what this guy does. So, that's a little bit of a threat. I do know from the last playthrough I did, where I at least made it through the first act, he has a bit of an iconoclast style to him. They keep trying to portray him, since he's the guy with the trade goods and the money, he's selfish. He's actually anything but, at least from my experience. So basically, he's saying Abelard is pretty cool, which is true because Abelard is also a iconoclast. So they're both similar. So he's interesting. He used to hunt them as mutants, but then he had nothing but nice things to say about her professionalism. So it's pretty cool. So these are all the different factions we could do business with. And if I get out of this screen and go back to the trade menu, you'll see that. So let's go through them. So I think he's helping us to understand what they want. So food, clothes, or medicine seems to be what Drusus wants. The explorators. They're looking for sacred knowledge and mechanical relics and Xeno artifacts. They don't say what he wants. Okay, so we went through all that. This option lets us create a new soldier. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of this because we don't want to do that at this time. The thing that's interesting is there is a part of me that's tempted to like make my own of everything. I just don't know. Because that is my style. I've beaten Baldur's Gate, the trilogy. I've beaten the whole trilogy at least 3 times in my life. I mean, Baldur's Gate 1 or Baldur's Gate 2, just by themselves, at least a dozen times each. I've never made it like through the whole trilogy as many times, but every single time, I make my own party of 6. And I've never liked the people that they give me. Because there always seems to be like horrible choices. Like, okay, so you give me this mage who doesn't have high intelligence. Like, why? Why would you do that? In my previous playthrough, I stuck with the characters that they gave me, and I was generally happy with them. Largely because, as you know, we went through this very large list of talents. The talents really ultimately make them better. So yes, your initial choices when you create the character are important, but you could make even the most horribly created characters still good if you pick the right talents. So I think that's what I learned. I don't know. Like I'm trying to like play it so I enjoy the stories that go with it. So far the stories have not been super interesting, but anyways. Now this option here, I'm not going to select it, but what that is that's you can respec your character. So if I took a bunch of talents and I'm realizing, hey, this isn't working, you can't like redesign them from scratch, but you can at least bring them back to level 1 and then level them up from there. Now some of these characters you don't get until level 3, 4, or 5, and they have pre-selected choices when you pick them up. That's where they would start from. You can't reset some of the choices that the game made for you, but any choice that you have made, you can reset it back to square one. So if you don't like the way you build up a character, you could go and change them here. Which is the kind of stuff you would do at an inn in any RPG, D&D style at least. And let's talk to Idira over here.
Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Coronis Expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best. It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win, from poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention. It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right? Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick psychers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time. Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. And as I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then, Theodore's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered their guards, also I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the Von Valancius dynasty. A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can. After some Amisec. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy. Of course, Lord Captain.
Jimmy Christmas, there's so many options.
You bet I do, Lord Captain. Okay, so we went to Footfall once. Well, I mean, Lord Captain Theodora went to Footfall a lot. But on that occasion, she took me with her for some reason. My day had gotten off to a bad start. My head had been yammering since I woke up, but there was nothing else for it. I had to go. We arrive at the place, and what a place! All the gentlemen and ladies dressed to kill, showing off their encrusted implants, all clustered around little tables. Well, turned out it was a gaming den. And not just any gaming den, but one run by somebody with deep pockets for people with just as much cash to splash. You should have seen it. People gambling away planets in a game of regicide. Anyway, so the Lord Captain wanted me to help her beat some guy. So I tell her, the chips won't land in your favor. You'll get a bad hand. Don't sit down at that table, your ladyship. But did she listen? Of course she didn't. If there's one thing she never lacked, it's stubbornness. So they sat down and the cards were dealt. I'm hovering around like I'm not involved, but I'm keeping my eye on things. And everything in my head keeps getting louder and louder. Anyway, it's a good thing I realized in time that my mind wasn't going haywire over a losing hand, but something else. I made some excuse to drag the Lord Captain up from the table and took her away from that place. And a few minutes later, the room where we'd been... It turned out some wise guy had the same bright idea to bring a pet psyker along with him. One of those ones who just scuttle around in Footfall's underbelly. And the psyker just freaked out, I guess. After all the commotion, people went to see what happened in the room. And they'd all gone for each other's throats. Literally. With teeth. And I think they completely detached that asteroid from Footfall and pushed it off into open space so it would head off toward the local star. Lord Captain, forgive me, but it would be like talking to a person born blind about colors. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you. Every psyker feels their connection with the warp in their own way. One person might see spots and shadows out of the corner of their eye. Another feels fingers running down their spine. As for me, I've got a door in my head. One that's open just a crack. There's no way to close it, no matter how hard I try. I've just had to get used to the whispers from the other side. When I need to use it for work, I listen in more closely. But I usually just try not to notice it. Only losers who are afraid of their own gift lose control. Or idiots who never figure out what they are before it's too late. Or little kids who want to play around with their shiny new toy. If you don't know the limits of your abilities, or you're always bouncing around in your own head, that's a recipe for disaster. Well, if the door opens, that means somebody's planning to come in, right? But screw them. They're not coming through. Trust me, I know how to keep my valuable head locked up tight. Training, habit, and a little Amasec and a couple other things you can get on the lower decks. If you put all those together, it makes things bearable. Sometimes I even wonder if I'm imagining half the voices I hear. You know, when life on board gets a little boring. Better than listening to the living, anyhow. All right. That's what I'm here for, after all. So, I'm just going to lean on that door in my head a little more, prick up my ears, and listen to what the warp's got to say about you. If you'll allow it, I can listen right now. All right, let's hear what they're whispering about you. Seek not on firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. There waits a child without kin, but with a name blind to truth. She draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paint, but of blood. And with each smear, this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. One thing is clear. When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, Rogue Trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion. A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks and the scent of oil confound his nose. A chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his master, or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord? The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it?
So I can tell you that she is describing companions we're gonna get in the future. The first one is the Navigator. The second one sounded like the Inquisitor guy. The third one is the Arbiter. There's another Arbiter out there. This one, maybe I just never found this person yet. Yeah, that might be just a different one.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now...
Oh my gosh, this wall of text are just...
What are you talking about, Lord Captain? Look, Lady Theodora couldn't care less if some eggheads measured my brains or not. It's not about the seal on your forehead, get it? It's about what's in your gut. If it's rotten or not. My gut's stronger than the adamantine on this here ship. And my implants are better than the ones they put in you on your Terra. If they weren't, I wouldn't have lived as long as I have. All right, let's hear what they're whispering
Oh
about.
no, am I doing this again?
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try. The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices. Ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head. None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice. Of course. Always at your service.
So I was hoping to address her rift with the Vox person, but it looks like we can't talk about that. Okay, so all the dialogue stuff is over. Now we get into some of the puzzles and things with the ship. So, as you know, we came out of warp, and the ship is pretty damaged. We have lost a lot of crew, and see, I can click on this button, but we're not going to do that yet. We got to take care of things with the ship first. So let's go to our captain's quarters. We have this thing that's living in our head and whispering to us, and I swear to you, in my first playthrough, I don't remember him being in our head. So either I did something to cause him to be in my head, or I did something to remove him, you know, like very early on, and I just totally forgot that he was there. So I'm assuming it's the latter. So we got, you know, things to click on. This is our crest. There she is in all of her glory. She reminds me of like a Disney villain. What she really reminds me of is, and actually this whole game, I know I'm getting into some deep references here, but it reminds me of Great Expectations, the novel. And I can't remember the woman's name in Great Expectations. And it's just that she was basically just this jerk that took advantage of everybody. Okay, so we have Blast Wave. We have a shotgun. And then there's an heirloom auto pistol and a Wrath of St. Drusus. I'm just going to take them all for now, and then we can always move them to cargo if we don't want them. As for me personally, this is what we've been looking for. So I'm going to take that shotgun and equip it here. And remember, you can always, when you're in battle, use either of your... You can switch between your weapons. There's no penalty of any kind. So having a sword and a pistol, we were shooting with the pistol this whole time. Now we don't have to. And this scrappy autogun, see, that pistol sort of sucks. It does give you a perception and ballistic skill bonus. And then you can compare it to like what we have with the Blast Wave. It does 10 to 15 damage. The one thing about shotguns, you have to be really careful. It's very, like, if any of your people are in the way, you're going to do damage to your own people. I'm also wondering if this blade shard is the reason why that people are whispering in my head. And if there's anywhere where I got rid of that thing, I think there was an event that happens in here. Then this here is the Ancestry records. I'm assuming they must have done a Kickstarter or something. Because look at this. And then they have... So I'm clearly not on here. I didn't know about this game. So this is all new to me. Alright, I'm hitting tab. I think that covers all of that. Then if you come in here, there is a... there's some goods over here. So this is a data slate. So you can see the Fiery Reckoning is now fully equipped. Objects have been loaded aboard. Coordinates received by the bridge. Fiery Reckoning is crewed by a servitor. Chances of the ship returning are minimal. So that is a... there's something, you know, related to this that... with the sabotage. Somebody brought something aboard. And of course this is just binary here. Oh, how good am I at this? This is so this would be 1, 2, 4. That's 8, 16, 32. So 8 plus 16 plus 32. 32, 42, 48. So we're at 56 with this. And that's 64, and then 128. 128. 56 is 1. $184. Then that's 256 plus 184, and then that's 512 plus 256 plus 184. So you add all that up, that's what that equals. I mean, it doesn't mean much. This could also be, you know, you take it in four segments, that's a byte. So this 0111 could be one letter, and that 0111 is another letter, and that's, so these are 3 letters. Anyways, it probably means absolutely nothing. It's not worth trying to decrypt. And then we have an unfinished letter. Voigtvir's mistake cost me too much. Years of work. Tremendous resources all wasted. He has failed as what he was supposed to do. To be irreproachable at uncovering spies. And this one was a senior officer. Not about to discard him. He served me for far too long. Besides, he is no fool. He could not have seriously expected to become the next, when his skills and talents as Master of Whispers are so valuable. Let his disinheritance serve as a humiliating but instructive lesson. So it's another piece of flavor there. And yeah, so we could change our appearance. There was something that my last character had that he was wearing a hat. And to be quite honest, I keep missing that he has a hat. Like, I want him to have that hat again. Just because it was so easy to spot him. And, it was like a...
For the glory of the dynasty!
It was like a beret. I mean, this is who I picked last time. I don't think that just by picking him I had a beret. So I don't know what I did to cause him to have a beret. But it would have been nice to get that back. It's okay. We don't need to mess with it too much. But anyways, if you wanted to change things, you can. Then here's where I'm suspecting maybe this process, because this is a process that makes no sense to me. So I'm performing my ablutions. So I can ask to see somebody from my retinue. I can tell the enforcers to come in with me. Finish my... or relax and close my eyes. So... I mean, for good or bad, and maybe you're thinking the same things I am, I was thinking, is this some kind of like romance thing? And again, for good or bad, it's more of a comical thing. So if I ask my comrades, these are the people in your party, if I ask my companions to come in, there's usually something funny or interesting that happens. If I ask the enforcers to get in, I thought that was getting maybe like a little, you know, Pride Month type of thing. But it isn't. It's you're asking them to get in because you're thanking them for protecting you, and it's actually a pretty healthy, good dialogue. They're not making the same mistakes that Baldur's Gate 3 was making. It's almost like a mocking of Baldur's Gate 3, to be quite honest with you. I'm going to go ahead and just close my eyes because I'm trying to get rid of that thing in my head, and oh yeah. So here you can get some points. So I can choose to get points in something. I don't know if I have... Like, the only thing my heart is dead set against is I don't want to be heretical, because it's just not my style. These two are okay. I mean, the thoughts of praying to an emperor that is your god is weird to me. But I still think that a lot of their principles are at least honorable. It's, you know, again, using the Japanese reference, I mean, they served their emperor, and they served him well, even if he really wasn't a god, and he really wasn't a, you know, half the things they attribute to him. I'm going to get iconoclast points just because of my choices in the game, so I'm going to go ahead and do this just to get some dogmatic points. It's only 3. Also, it's the one option that might get rid of the stuff in my head. I don't know. Maybe it won't. So if I ask somebody to come in, I can say, hey, you know, Adira. So you get 28 experience points for smoking with Adira. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. And then, you know, so basically we just booked some dope and I got a kick out of it. I'm telling her to tell me a joke. I actually laughed at that. Have a nice soak. But that's it. So, like, she doesn't even get in the bath with you. There's no, like, you know, PG-13 scenes or anything like what you see in Baldur's Gate. And then here I can even tell the enforcers to get in with me. Sure, let's get this out of the way as well. Don't be shy, get in. And I was cringing the whole time I was doing this. I'm like, don't you dare, don't you dare. But it's actually, it's all good. So they're in there. And I order them to enjoy some food and liquor. So they're barely able to conceal. And so tell me about yourselves. They tell me a little bit about themselves. You may relax until I'm finished bathing. And then finish my ablutions. I feel revitalized. So one thing you do get is you get this. A well-deserved rest. So you have a higher initiative in the next combat. It only lasts until the next combat. So I don't know if you're like supposed to do this bath every time just to get that one little bonus. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that is how it plays out. And yeah, everything about having the 2 men get in with me, or even Adira, It was all very pleasantly not the way Baldur's Gate would have done it. And I can't stress enough, I didn't like what Baldur's Gate did with the whole romance thing. I don't understand the need for romance. And I know that Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 did it, and I think it's just carrying on that tradition. And I get it, but I didn't like it in Baldur's Gate 1 or 2 either. That's why I told you, I generated my own party of 6, because I avoided all that stuff. Alright, so, Lord Captain's quarters. We're on the bridge. We can go to the chapel, or we can go to the shrine. And we technically have to go to both. So let's go to the chapel first. We're going to bring all 4 with me. Alright, we finally have everybody with me, so let's look at these. Like, we got this new sword. It is a chain sword, just like the one he has, and it's way better. But if you'll notice, it does not have cleave. So, it does give him the same 10% to parry, but it does not have cleave. It is considered better. It does more damage. It has more armor penetration, which, if you saw from that last battle, it was really tough against that highly armored opponent, but it does not have cleave. So that's the one drawback. But here's what we can do. Since they're one-handed weapons, you can put one in each hand and then pick which one you're going to use. So I could run up to a group of people, cleave with this one, and if I need to, I can always hit them hard with that one. And I gotta pause real quick. Okay, I am back. I'm slightly distracted. I may have to pause a few more times, but let's keep going. So, I think I figured everything out that I'm supposed to do here last time I did this. But obviously, when you see the goods, go pick it up. This is just free stuff that you should add to your arsenal.
Like I'm a leper. I'm just passing through, all right? So you lots can calm down.
And clearly, this is the religious ward of the ship, and Adira is having a problem because she's the what do you call that? The heretic. So just more stuff for your goods. Just collect it all. At some point I stopped looking to see what type of good it is, because it's all good, pun intended. And no matter what it is, you want it. It's just, maybe it doesn't help you. Oh. Something's going on here. So, the animated scenes like this sometimes tend to be really slow. Okay, so that astropath is no longer sitting in that chair. I don't think there's anything in particular we're supposed to do.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
There is a element of... because they do have a problem here. So this one requires logic, which I'm going to do.
I always get the job done. This is the only outcome I accept.
Okay. I know I'm avoiding the obvious things to do. I'm just trying to get all the outlier stuff. It's my nature. Okay. So, this is like a big decoder thing on the ship, and they worship it. There's spirits that live in it. It's, like I said, it's really weird lore. In fact, it tells you right here, it rotates steadily, dry clicking. So, I think we can talk to one of these. As you can see, machine spirits. Alright, so they want me to fix the issues, and so these little logic things pop up. And here we go.
I'll learn from this mistake.
So I think I failed, but somehow I passed. I don't understand that part. Because he said I'll learn from this mistake. Then there's another one over here.
That's how it's done.
So it's, you know, it's saying that the issue's been fixed.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Here's another one.
Failure is just a temporary setback.
And then there might be one more. Actually, let me look at the journal. There we go. We got 3 fixes. That might be enough. Maybe it's not. There's another one somewhere. Oh, here's one.
I won't let it define me.
So it doesn't tell me how many issues I need to find. So yeah, you just gotta walk around and look for...
I always get the job done.
And at 63% success, I know I'm failing some of the time.
Just as I planned.
There we go. They're telling me to talk to the astropath, so we might have fixed enough now.
Let us not dawdle. Deal with your cogwork issues yourselves. How did the... What? I failed?
never failed that last time. What did I do wrong? That wasn't that painful. Let's do it again. And my apologies. I know that's a little bit of save scumming, but I don't know what I did that caused that to fail. I need to pay more. See, this is the problem when you do a quest a second time.
Ugh,
I'm not paying as much attention.
with them bird eyes like I'm a leper.
So
I'm
she's
just
gonna complain.
passing through, all right? So you lots can calm down.
We have these goods to pick up. And there was one other goods. I would swear it was over here on the left side. There it is.
I always keep my options open.
See, because this guy needs help too. It's not just... So the odd noise is what he looks for. It's a sacred compiler to do riddle messages. They're psychic imprints. Cradle in our grave. Every order of prime importance. Okay, so I know I get a mission from this guy. I do think, no matter how much the lore is weird, I mean, this is just a giant organ, and I think the music in the game fits this perfectly. It really does. Alright, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Right, I'm going to save it this time. Let's talk to this guy. I didn't think this was a quest I could fail. Alright. So it's... We have to identify every issue and solve it.
Success is the only outcome I accept.
Alright, we got one.
I always have a backup plan.
So we're just gonna go around.
Failure is just a temporary setback. I always get the job done. That's how it's done.
Alright, so we're getting the check marks.
Success is the only outcome I accept. I won't let it define me.
So at this point, they told us to go back. Yeah, right there. This is going to welcome the
Is
news
there money to be made?
that it's fully operational. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I'm supposed to click on. I don't think there is. I'm gonna save it again. It's working again with no disruptions. Okay, so I don't know what the difference was. I wasn't paying enough attention. Did I just, like, fail when I was doing my checks? I failed too many times, or what? But yeah, it worked that time. So he's no longer there. And now there's a decoded report, which I think we have to go talk to him now. So he doesn't know when the message was sent. What does it say? So it says, Little Amid, Odonathus the 11th. The winds have ceased, it is done. Now, Lilamed is Voigtvir's call sign for special reports, but the rest is code. But if we look at the Odonathus 11 system, alright, so we ended up with to scout out the planet that it was sent from. And this one, by the way, I never figured out. And got the solution for. So, it's right there. It says, scout out the planet that it was sent from. It says Odonathus 11. And I think, honestly, the reason I haven't figured it out is because I've not seen a planet called Odonathus 11 yet. But we'll see. It's just one of the few things from Chapter 1 that I wasn't able to fully resolve. Okay, so I'm looking. I think that's all we have to do here.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
That's right. We did this thing too, where we had him. We're gonna make the chain sword. So again, like I explained last time, we don't have to choose one or the other. When he goes up to a group of enemies, he can use the cleave of this one. And if he has to just take down one enemy who has high armor, he can use the other one. And normally, you only get to do one or the other. Now, there is a talent where you can do dual wield. And then what you could do is, as long as you have enough action points, you can attack with both weapons. It is tricky because each weapon is going to consume action points. You only have like 4, and if you're using your skills on top of it, I didn't find the dual weapon thing to be as handy as I thought it would be. Um, but it is a thing. It's possible. And then we have this auto pistol, which I don't know. It feels like trash to me, but it's definitely better than this laser gun. So we'll send that to the cargo. Then we have this scrappy auto gun as well. Like she has an auto pistol. Send that to the cargo. There we go. I think we're good. We will get more people in our party, and I just don't think any of those items are necessarily worth keeping. So now we're going to go to another compartment. We want to go to the shrine. Yep, let's bring everybody. Alright, so there's some lore checks.
I always get the job done.
And there's a commerce check at 80%.
That's how it's done.
Everything here is just, it's like a museum. They call it a shrine, which, you know, so basically, this game is about idolizing everything.
Oh, it's about you.
And you can go up and offer a prayer, which I don't think makes a lick of difference. And that's that. Then we can talk to Adelbert. He's the ship's confessor. Okay, so then of course she's gonna scoff. So basically, they have all these rules and then they break them with these weird hypocrisies. This is true. I don't know if I want to say that to him. And of course they view being gentle and joyous as signs of weakness, and as you could tell, I skipped that option. Okay, so people come here to confess.
Keep my options open.
And then I think it's this guy over here. So senior officers have left confessions. So what makes you think they're senior? Because of how well spoken they are. Let me hear them. So the first one. So why are we some destined to perish in the warp while others go and live and preserve the memory of the dead? This guy wants to help the orphans. It says that's male. Leopard Kleppas. This is a woman's. Leopard Kleppa meat is edible. Should necessity demand it. So I'm on a quest. Now I'm on a quest to seek out who gave those 3 confessions. Alright, and then there's another
Always keep
matter.
your eye on the prize. What a peculiar thing.
So this is a hammer that does really good armor piercing. It's low damage, but it's very good armor piercing. It's a melee weapon, and if I click on this, we can then unlock the hammer. And so, if you'll notice, it says Furia, F-U-R-I-A. And if you look over here, that's an A. That's an F. I believe that's an I. This one is a U. And that's an R. It spells Furia. So you have to have a party member stand on each of these platforms. And then after you do that, this thing will pop down. I don't think I can do it with just 4 party members. Let's try it. So you can see it's showing you all the platforms that moved up. So the first thing you do is you step on this one. See, and then the green light comes on. So if I step off, does the green light go away? Yes. So I need 5 party members to be able to pull this off. Don't have that. I could go create one, like a dummy one. But it's no rush. All you're doing is you're gonna get the hammer. That's it. You might get some extra experience points for that. Okay, so we have to figure out who the confessions were, and I know one of them is this guy. Now this is the cargo. So let's ask him about the cargo. This was the letter we found in the office, our personal sanctum. So I'm going to replace the painting of the Disney villain with a painting of myself. So he's the one that was concerned about the orphans. I didn't do this last time. I mean, that seems like very trusting. The game sort of tries to teach you that trusting your officers is a bad idea, because that's what she just said. Obviously, this would, this is like just spoiling them a little bit. Well, this is not spoiling them. That's only just meeting their basic bare minimum needs. And then this one educates them so they can be the best students, and I think that would help make them the best contributors to... Let's do that. And I don't know why this is always an option. It's like a threat. Oh, it's because I'm an arbiter. It's my duty was. Okay, that's good. Alright, so there's confession number 1. Confession number 2, I actually don't remember who it was. Maybe it was her? I don't want to do this, because that'll get the guards in trouble. It's not the lop-eared Kleppas, so I'm going to go ahead and go. I know who the lop-eared Kleppas was, so let's go take care of that. It's from a female voice, remember? I kept mentioning that I didn't know this was a female. So... So, she was testing the message recording. And I'm just doing that to get... I don't like the... Hey, you've never tried this option before. Alright, so we got 2 of the 3 out of the way. Now, who was it that was wondering why some people die and others don't? So definitely not him. I don't think it's this guy either. He doesn't do confessions. Alright, not him. I don't think it's one of our companions. I could be wrong. I did just skip Argenta.
Lord Captain?
Yeah, see, it's not even an option with...
Lord Captain.
With Abelard here. Who else is up here? Because I didn't get that option with her. Dang it, who was it? Those 2. Boxmaster. It did say senior officers. I think it's actually, it might actually be somebody from the chapel. sorry.
I always have a backup plan.
So it might be one of these guys. That's it. So he just thanked me for thinking of him. There's another one of those logic ones.
Just as I planned.
Okay. So, like I said, I need another party member to finish that last quest. We could create one. I'm going to try to avoid that. We're going to get one soon. Very soon. Alright, let's do what we've been avoiding and start flying this ship. So they're going to talk about how it's a vast region of space. So it says you can interact with everything, but I fully confess that I was still confused about a few things, and I'll explain it to you as I go here. First off, we have our void ship management. So right now there is armor, and you can replace it with better armor. So you're going to get, just like we have party items, right? Swords, things like that. We can do things to improve our ship. And those items will appear here. And just to be clear, we're going to go all the way to Act 2 before we get our first item. So it's going to be a long time before we improve the ship. Now, we do get to improve it with scrap. I have 100 scrap right now, so I'm going to give... I just upgraded the RAM, and this is going to upgrade the hull. So we just spent 100 scrap to get level 1 of each. That I can do. And we're actually going to get to upgrade this at least one more time before this is all over. So the ship gains experience points and levels up just like we do. And again, this isn't going to happen until Act 2. So this is going to stay right where it is for a long time. Then the posts, this is something that isn't important until Act 2. But right now, the Supreme Commander is me, and it requires persuasion. So I really appreciate that they're showing the persuasion value of everybody. So if you go to the Master Cannoneer, that requires demolition, and hers is 60. So I can, for example, put her in because she's the best one at that. Shield Master requires tech, and then you can see it goes down the line, right? This one, he's at a 50, 35, 30. She's at 65, and that's all 4 of them. Like if I filled these 2, then I would. Now, as we get more and more companions, this is going to change. So this was just a silly exercise. And then, of course, these are all the abilities that the ship has. So you have torpedo control. There's a ram ability, you know, etc. So, okay. This shows that we have quests there. So they're saying that there's 2 quests here. And then here you have 1. And then here you have 3. And if you'll notice, none of these are the secret message planet. This one, the planet has a name, even though we haven't scanned it. This one does not have a name, or maybe it does and it's just that gobbledygook. As you can see, there's a lot of ships that are, you know, floating about, and we don't know what they are. So we have this station here, which there's no information really about. I think, if I remember correctly, this station is silent. Every time we try to communicate with it, we're not getting anything back. And there's an unidentified wood chip here, but I'm going to go to this planet first, just because it's easy to deal with. So this one, we come here, we do a scan. We get some experience points, which is very nice. It's added to the Worlds of the Expanse. And then, I don't know what an Astimare rating is, or, like, I think this is just fluff. Obviously, there's the name. And this is... you can install extractiums to get resources from this. And this is part of your role as the rogue trader. This is getting to the first thing that confused me, and I'm still sort of confused. The extractium is... it says ×0. So I spent the longest time like, well, how do I change that into a ×1? And my conclusion is you just don't do that in Act 1. It's sort of like a little teaser. So we're not going to actually extract resources from this, even though there's a little mechanism where you could, if you built one. You need resources to build them, and I don't have any built. And then once you have them built, you can then install them on these planets and start collecting resources, which is part of your trade empire. I think that's an Act 2 thing. And if there's something that people know that I don't know, I would really appreciate it. But like, this really threw me off, because like I kept thinking, well, is there something I can do? I'm, you know, trying to right click, left click. You know, is there something I'm missing in my production queues? All that stuff. Sorry, I had a quick interruption. Okay. Now, one thing that's annoying, even though this is no longer the prologue, there's still a lot of moments where it's trying to teach you. So as we move towards these locations, the game's going to interrupt you like 30 times. I'm not kidding. So if I were to move towards this planet here, we're going to get to here and it's going to interrupt me, and then here it'll interrupt me again, and then here it'll interrupt me again. It'll do exactly that. And I don't remember what this was. I do remember what this was. And we don't need to be in a rush to go there. Let's do this one next. There's first interruption. Already. Choir Master is asking to speak to you at a private channel. That's it. So we're hearing a scream from here. So they're being driven mad. So we're gonna go visit the station. This is exactly what I did last time. We went here first because of the screaming. So there's a motionless, lifeless ship across all the frequencies. So we're going to deploy a scouting team. So servants are reliving their horrible deaths again and again. The warp manifested itself here, twisting the very nature. So we got a Denial of Nightmares amulet. They gain immunity to the horrors of the warp effect. And the horrors of the warp is this target suffers negative everything. For 1 round. So, I don't know what the right thing to do is. I burned everything last time. We can seal the station, dooming its ghastly inhabitants to an eternity of suffering. It just seems like a horrible idea. Like, why would I doom them? So yeah, I'm gonna burn them. Gain 26 experience points, and then it's nothing else. So we finally took care of it. Now this thing, again, if worn by a psyker, they get immunity to the horrors of the warp. So obviously, we have one, so we're going to give that to her. And I think that is why I don't care so much about the bar growing. Okay. And yes, I did notice that we leveled up, but we can do that later. Alright, so we got 3 planets. So here's my summary. There's a big battle on this one, but it's actually very short. This one is... There's a very difficult decision you need to make, and it's sort of medium, maybe also short. Like these two, I guess, are similar in size. There's some decisions that need to be made as well. Not too catastrophic, but it's something. And then this, there is a very large amount of stuff that happens here. So, the order I did things is I went here first, because I do my, I'm always grabbing all the outliers. I went there first, and then here, and then here, and then here, and I sort of like the order. Although I now recognize that this is not important, like when I do this. Just sometime before I get here, I want to do this. I do agree that this should be the last place I go. I think some people go here first, because... So let me spoil you a little bit more. You get a companion here, and you get a companion there. You get 2 companions there. So there's 2 companions to be gotten here, and 1 there. And we are currently with 4. So at some point, when we're in here, we're going to have 1 more companion than we can actually use. And then that's when all the tough choices come in, because I sort of like them all. I really do. I found one of them didn't do a lot of damage for me, so that's why I took that one out more frequently than the others. But for story purposes, that companion had to stay with us through most of the missions. But as soon as I had a chance, I got rid of that person. This is... Both of these greatly contribute to the story. This one will insanely contribute to the story. This seems like this is like the coup de grace. This is all building up to this. Theoretically, we could do this one first, and I'm assuming that some of the quests will remain open until I go and finish these 2, and then I have to come back. So it would like you could go in here and grab your 2 companions, get out, and then go do these. Like, I think that is a possibility. I don't know. But like I said, 2 companions in here. There's actually a 3rd one, but you can't recruit that person. You'll get to recruit him in Act 2. So, oh, and then there's another companion we're going to get somewhere. Remember all those 30 interruptions I told you you're going to get? Somewhere along the way, I'm going to get another companion just automatically. And it's a DLC thing. So, so with that said, let's go get this companion. This one's a pretty decent one. A little redundant, but decent nonetheless. Oh, my apologies. Sorry, I'm being interrupted several times here. My apologies. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and dock. We'll bring all 4. I do enjoy the fact that...
Pathetic worm. You dare to argue with your master?
It was not you whom I swore to serve within these walls. My lips are sealed.
Confess. What was the old man's last command? What are you planning?
Give up, Keeper. You have lost this battle. Again.
We're getting nowhere with these ones, sir. Permission to execute them.
Okay, so let's recap where we are here. We have this guy, they're calling him, he serves the Dark Servant. Here's the thing I struggle with the most with this game, and maybe it's, again, a lore thing, but, like, he's from House Orselio, and that means nothing to me. There's Wintercrest, which is the rogue trader that's supposed to be in control of this region. So technically, we're a visiting rogue trader. We're not. This isn't our region. But I don't think Orselio has anything to do with Wintercrest. And so that's the stuff that you have to keep track of in your head. So who is this guy Orselio, and why is he here? And you can clearly tell he's a navigator. And we happen to be looking for a navigator. So this is a possible option. This is an interesting option, which I didn't take last time, and I wonder if it would make this come to a conclusion quicker. Same with this one. I think both of these would result in the same thing. Okay, so here's the situation. He was talking about Lady Cassia, that they're torturing her upstairs. He actually wants to murder her. He's lying through his teeth to us at the moment. And you could sort of tell, because they're calling him an evil servant and blah blah blah. He is from House Orselio. That's not a mistake. And the Cassia's, like our version of Abelard, right? The person who is giving her advice and serving her is also an Orselio. So this is sort of like a family feud going on. And he is a student, and for some reason he's rebelling. I don't remember all the details, and maybe that'll come out as we play this out. So we have to make a very serious choice here. We either make him our navigator, and then we're helping him to kill her, or we kill him and we get her as a navigator. They're both navigators. So you're walking out of here with one of them. So these two, like I said, I'm laughing because those seem like really nice choices, because then I can just get this thing to a rapid conclusion. But we'll play this out, because, you know, I'm not supposed to know this stuff, at least at this point. So to remake a holy relic sanctified with the blood of Lady Orselio herself. This is the control rod of the elevator machine spirit. I have one part, and the other part was lost during the mutiny. But even this relic will be of no use unless the elevator mechanism is powered. So, how am I supposed to power that elevator? There's a cogitator, which is another word for a computer, situated in a guard room. He has a phylactery containing the mistress's blood. If it's so simple, why don't you do it yourself? Or the powers of our navigators. Okay, so he's not going to be hostile for now. He will be hostile if we decide to save her instead of him.
That wasn't so difficult.
And then all that means is we got some experience points and we leveled up. So let's grab some goods before I do the level up. Got another multi-key, some more cargo. I'm just looking around. Alright, so the basic gist is we gotta jump. His athletics is good enough to get us through. And then over here in this room, we're gonna do some stuff, and there's gonna be a lot of battles, which makes this last a little bit longer than the other planet did. But let's do our level up first. So here we go. We now get to grab another talent. Now, as you know, I have a bunch starred up. This is way more than I'm ever going to be able to select, by the way. So if I leveled up all the way and finished this whole wheel, this is more than I'm ever going to select. And then I'm still nervous that there's something over here that I'm missing that I should have been selecting instead. Okay, I need to grab some caffeine. I'm going to pause real quick. Actually, what I'm going to do, we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to end the video and we'll start fresh in the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.